Okay, it says we're live. Just let me make sure it comes up in the group, and then we'll get cracking. All right, we are good.
Excellent.
Snappack, happy Thursday. I hope all is well. I want to thank you for joining us this Thursday again for this edition of Snappack Live. I am Jason Frazier, and joining me, I have TJ Kelly. TJ, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
What's up, Snappack? My name is TJ. I work for a company called Mxt Media. We are a real estate SEO and content marketing company out of Massachusetts, specialize in this industry and trying to make the most of what we call it, the modern marketing, I think is the phrase thrown around these days. And yeah, excited to be here.
Awesome. And I'm really excited to have TJ on this edition because and you guys have heard us talk about it before, is when everyone's concentrating on their online presence right now, and to me, the two most important things on getting that out there is SEO and content marketing. However, I think because of kind of the level of marketing and social media that we have going on in the Snappack, we have a lot of new agents. We have a lot of experienced agents that are just now starting to really focus on their personal brand and their online presence. We always assume that they're at a certain level, that they have a certain understanding, but I still get questions of people asking me, hey, what is SEO? What exactly is that? And how, what do I do? I don't even know where to start. So I thought it would be perfect, for you and your background with what you do, that we kind of start off with, if I'm just starting off with concentrating on SEO, or I'm a new agent or whatever, give me an SEO 101. Like how do I start, and what's the most important thing I need to concentrate on in the beginning, as opposed to figuring it out, months down the road?
Okay. I will do that. I want to first at least kind of talk about why I'm able to answer that question, because you're right. It's a common one. It's a big one. And it's complicated. So, not everybody has the understanding of SEO that they think they have. And I kind of hint at this. I was in a recent video with Kelvin at Easy Agent Pro. We talked about some of the misconceptions in SEO, and there are a lot of them. So step one for me is I have a career so far I started in development and design, actually, building websites. You don't spend too long building websites before you have to start to ask yourself, is this website actually going to do anything? Is it going to work? Is it going to achieve its goal in broad marketing terms? So I spent a bunch of years doing that, and then slowly kind of moved into the SEO world, worked for an SEO agency, had my own independent kind of solo shop for a while, and kind of earned my stripes doing that. So moved into real estate in the last couple of years, which brings me back into your question. What is SEO 101, and specifically how does that apply to real estate? So SEO stands for search engine optimization, but what that means in 2017 is very different from what it meant even in 2012, 2008 or 7 or earlier. So Google kind of sets the rules here. They are by far the biggest industry player. Sure, there's Bing, there's Yahoo Search, which is basically running Bing these days anyway, but it's Google. So Google kind of invented this industry when they started to dominate the control of how people answer their own questions. And so what SEO was in the early days, in probably pre-2000 to maybe pre-2004, was a series of technical kind of hacks or tricks that you could do on your website that was going to make yours just jump to the head of the class and beat all your competition and be ranked first in Google. And it worked. It worked really well for a very long time. But Google's a big company. They're a smart company, and it's always this cat and mouse game. They are constantly trying to eliminate any of those loopholes in their algorithm. So as they got smarter, SEO had to get smarter, and those of us in the industry had to get smarter. So what does it mean today? It basically means building in the best quality you possibly can to the amount of information that you produce and you publish on your website. Google tries to be comprehensive and thorough and kind of end-to-end.
Nope. I think we got a little freeze there. Yeah. Oh man. All right, let's see if it comes back. All right, you back?
Yes.
Yep,
Sorry about that.
All right. Sorry, you're gonna have to. Sorry, be live, man. Yeah, go ahead.
So where'd you lose me?
You're right when you started into SEO 101. What does it mean today?
Man.
It started froze. Sorry.
Right at the perfect answer, perfect time. All right, so what does it mean now? It basically means being as thorough and as comprehensive and as high quality as you possibly can in everything that you publish. So you got to think, put yourself in Google's shoes, right? It's a huge company. Everything is centered around their search algorithm and their search product, but they own a ton of different stuff. They own YouTube. They invented Android. They're a huge, huge company with all kinds of different things to worry about, and all of it kind of ties together. And so they try to be as end-to-end comprehensive as possible. And so if you are trying to compete in their marketplace, in their search engine marketplace, you need to play by their rules. You need to be as comprehensive and thorough as possible. So how does that apply to being a real estate agent? Basically, and I know that we've heard this from a number of other, SEO and marketing kind of experts out there, but the answer really is true. The refrain is true. You need to put out the highest quality material you possibly can, covering every single aspect of your market, of your topic. I think that that our good friend Neil Mathweg has coined the phrase to be the digital mayor of your town, right? And if that's the case in social media, that you want to be the person everybody looks to as the expert, you can translate that into search, into just providing information and answering questions. Be the person that has all the answers, and by the way, has published all the answers. If you don't write about it and you don't put it on your website, Google can't find it and can't reward you for it. Yeah. So it's a long-winded answer, but basically high quality, and there's a lot more to it that we'll get into in a few minutes, but that's the foundation of it. Answer everything, and answer everything as thorough as possible.
Gotcha. So if I'm starting off and I'm a realtor and I'm wanting to do X, Y, and Z and really get into SEO, I'm understanding it, I'm following along, I'm reading your content, blogs, whatever. If I'm going to start doing content, is it, because I always tell people to, you can do your blog and that's great and you should definitely do that. But when they're just starting off and they're just trying to get viewership and audience, I always say, and this is how I started, was using something like Medium, because Medium has a great audience following. People search that. When you first start off, nobody knows about your blog. Nobody knows who you are, what you're doing. And then as you're doing it, is you put content in both places and try to steer people and maybe do like short form content on Medium and have that go to your blog or whatnot. So if I'm starting to do content, how do you recommend? Do you recommend they just start a blog on their own site, or do stuff like Medium or LinkedIn articles? Or so where would you recommend they start for doing that content?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. And you're kind of treading now into more of the content marketing side more than just strictly SEO. And that's fine. The line is blurry between those two things. So you're hitting it on the head. So if you are interested in SEO, and I'm going to be kind of strict purist SEO here, then ultimately that is tied back to one domain. And we can talk technical all day if you want about what a subdomain is versus a directory and all this other stuff. But basically, your .com that's your house. That's where you live on the internet. And if you want Google to send people there, then you need to make that house your primary residence, if I may use that analogy. So you need to be publishing there. You need to be answering all the questions and being as thorough as possible there. But as we start to move into content marketing, now it's a matter of, all right, this is my house and I want people to come over into my house, but I need to go find those people. Right now they're having a block party a couple streets over. Let me go down there and hand out a couple of invites, right? That's Medium. Let me go to Medium, put some information there, answer some questions, write some, topical, whatever answers it might be, get some readers there. And yes, always with that invite back to your party, always with that link back to your website. Another example might be Quora. There's a really good opportunity to be answering questions on Quora. You mentioned LinkedIn. That's another good spot. All of these other networks, Medium, LinkedIn, Quora, the rest of them, they are essentially recognizing this, that Google dominates, right? Everyone's trying to drive traffic back to their own websites by way of Google. And most people who are interested in personal branding and SEO know that they need to own their own domain to do that. And that is another user that Medium or LinkedIn or Quora misses out on. So those three networks and the others say, hey, cool, do that, but you should also come here too. And they make it a point to try to work in tandem, side by side with the Google search product, with the SEO industry. And they want you to stay in just Medium or just LinkedIn or just Quora. I don't recommend doing only those things, but I do recommend participating in them as you have time, right? If you're going to stretch yourself too thin, then maybe you draw the line somewhere. But if you've got the resources and you're interested in maxing this thing out, those are absolutely great places to do it.
Because what I guess kind of where I went into that is more thinking about SEO for your brand. So like if you Google your name, everything that pops up. So obviously you want your website, wherever like you said, your home, your hub, wherever you want people to really drive traffic to, you want that. So you want to SEO that. But also you want people to find you just in general, right? So because maybe you don't have a high SEO score for your website, but Medium does and LinkedIn does, because right now if you Google my name, you'll find some articles, find LinkedIn, you'll find some Medium, you'll find my website obviously, but to me that's like more of just an overall SEO goal, is just to have your branding out there as many platforms as possible. But getting back to the SEO 101 of having your hub, when you're starting off, and obviously to me it's you're building a site, right? So a website either on some sort of like Easy Agent Pro site, or you're doing, another a Placester or something like that, or you're doing Squarespace, Wix, or WordPress or whatever. What would you suggest as being for realtors, because sometimes they're not very technical, even ones that are into content marketing and everything else, they might not be on the technical side, so they may not want to do a build yourself website and they want someone to do it. Where would you recommend them going for the most bang for their buck to get started on a site for SEO?
Wow, tough question. What I'm most concerned with, if a client comes to me or potential client comes to me and says, I have nothing right now, I'm a brand new agent, or I lost everything when I left my brokerage or whatever, and I'm starting from scratch, what do I do? What I am most concerned about is basically you need to own the domain. You need to own like yourname.com. I own tjkelly.com along with my company, getmix.com. Own the domain, and wherever you go, you need to be able to bring that domain with you. I'm sure that applies to 90+% of the services out there nowadays, so it's not a huge disqualifier. But for example, if it's like, jasonfrazier.wordpress.com or something, like, you don't want that one. You need to own the domain. And like I said, the reason for that is Google is domain specific. So you can move services. You can change your website entirely. As long as that domain stays the same, you're still in good shape in SEO terms, along with some other technical stuff that we could go over later if you want. But so that's priority number one. If you can take your domain with you, then at that point, I kind of have to rely on my experience, because I have not used them all. I have not personally used, Weebly. I've never used that one. I hear people asking about Weebly. I have used Wix a little bit. I have used Squarespace a little bit. And they're great. They're great for what they do. Everything has some pluses and some minuses. Yep. Squarespace looks beautiful. It really does. You can earn a lot of user experience points using a Squarespace website. My very good friend Courtney Brophy at Happy Turtle Marketing, she's on Squarespace, and we go back and forth about this. It's not my personal choice, but she got a great looking website, and a lot of them are. They do fine with SEO. I have no technical concerns about those. Then there's WordPress, and that is the one that I use. It's the one I have been on for many years. It's the one I recommend to everyone, and I say that because it's kind of like going out and buying the Toyota. It's nothing special. It's not going to win you any awards by itself, but you can do anything you want to it. You can, sky's the limit on how flexible the thing is. Now, it's not the most easy if you're talking about an agent who's not the most technical, or maybe doesn't want to spend the time to be doing this themselves. WordPress has a lot of options, and you kind of need to know what you're looking at and where to point and click to make them all work for you. So keep that in mind. But that takes us down to the last level, which is somebody like Placester or Easy Agent Pro or some of these others that are using WordPress to like drive the engine. That's the kind of the Toyota. And then they build their SaaS, their software as a service on top of that. So for my money, I want to see you go to a place like Easy Agent Pro, or maybe one of their competitors, though I do like EAP the best, because you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. You're getting a really flexible, strong, SEO-friendly WordPress website, but you're also getting, management on top. It's going to look great. It's going to do most of the things you need it to do without you even having to bat an eyelash at it. So I don't have an official relationship with them that my check's in the mail, right? Like, no, I don't have that kind of relationship. I really just do like their websites. So I don't know, it's kind of a long answer, but I don't know if that kind of gets there.
And that's perfect. And we have a couple questions here. And yes, Alex Wang does use Squarespace for his. I personally use Wix for my site. I've used WordPress in the past. Another question Shannon asked, when you buy your domain, you want to do it for 5 years and not just 1 year. Is that something? I see your question there, Shannon. I don't care how many years you buy it for, because if it comes up for renewal, you just got to renew it. You need to own that thing forever. You don't look at this as like, let me just buy it for a little while to get on until the next chapter of my life. No. If SEO is a concern for you, now keep that in mind. Everything I say has to be viewed through the SEO lens. There are other considerations out there, right? But if SEO is a priority for you,
You're going to own that domain until you're not, you shuffle off this mortal coil. You're taking that thing with you to the grave, because time value matters in SEO. And if you change domains, you're going to take a hit for that. You can bounce back. It's possible. There are agents that leave brokerages, or you rebrand, or you form a partnership, or whatever. There are things you can do to bounce back from that, but don't look at it as a domain as short term. You should think of that thing as at least 5 years, to Shannon's question. If not, more than that. I think I've had mine for 10 plus now.
Yeah, and there's no advantage for doing it earlier or later, as long as, like TJ says, you're keeping it for the entire time. But you also brought up two things. One is, like, Dustin and I have had the debate against, like, WordPress and Wix, and I love WordPress. And I used to do WordPress admin back. I used to be a web dev way back in the day. Back in the I don't know if you remember Cold Fusion, but I was doing that.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah.
so that's how far back I go. But
first job out of college.
Oh, really? Nice. Yeah. So when it comes down to it, is that I think WordPress is great. The thing is that if you are using someone like EAP, that's awesome, because they're doing all the WordPress admin for you, upgrades, making sure the plugins don't break when you upgrade something. That's awesome. If you're doing WordPress by yourself, just be prepared for a crazy amount of administrative overhead to make sure it works. And if it breaks, it breaks. You're going to have to figure out how to fix it, or you're going to pay someone to do it. So that's just one thing. With Wix and Squarespace and those other ones, they're easy fixes. They're absolutely easy fixes, but they're easy sites. And like TJ says, with WordPress, you're going to be able to do, like with Wix, you're limited. Squarespace, you're limited. I don't know anything about Weebly either, but I imagine it's the same thing as Wix and Squarespace with a limited platform. WordPress, you could do anything, but you just got to want it if you're going to do it. Unless you're going to have someone manage it for you.
Yeah, I mean, as with so many things in life, right? It's either you're going to invest your time or your money. WordPress is free. It's free, and it will be free forever, but it's going to cost you some time in learning or fixing or whatever. It is not without its headache, definitely. But as long as you're prepared for that, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, and then you also brought up another point that I see a lot of, and I see a lot of people do it that are doing awesome marketing and content marketing, like Facebook Lives and Instagram and everything else. Is I see that they're using, like, their landing. I call them landing pages, because to me that's what they are. But I mean, like, profile pages on their broker, like a Remax or a Keller Williams or whatnot. They're not going to their own site, so they're owning their own domain, but then they're pointing it to a site that isn't mobile friendly most of the time, that isn't, it's not SEO'd out, it's not gone through all the, the pains and trials of getting that thing dialed in for good SEO and for just good design in general. So I think you brought up an awesome point, is that it's not just a domain, but, like, you want that site to be yours. You want it to not be on someone else's servers, that's someone else's control. So if you are right now using your own broker's site, that's not you, like I said, like a Keller Williams or Remax or one of those other, generic things that just has your contact information on it. Do something else. Do Squarespace, do Wix, do WordPress, whatever, Easy Agent Pro, whatever, fits the most. But you need to have something, not just your own domain, but you need to have your own hub, your own home, just like TJ says. So,
I might piggyback on that, if I may. And to your point earlier, Jason, you said that, if you've got a profile on Medium and on LinkedIn and on, say, Quora and all these others, and you're contributing, even just like set up a name and a bio and a picture and that kind of thing. When people Google you by your name, they've met you at an event, they saw a billboard or a postcard or something, and they Google your name, the SEO industry refers to that as a branded search. And to your point, man, you can be writing, you can be the digital mayor of your town and be writing all about, I live in a town called Ashburnham. Everything about Ashburnham has my name on it. But when people search me, that's not a search for Ashburnham. That's a search for me. So if I'm not putting out enough content about me and about my name, then Google's not going to know what to give those searchers, right? They're not going to know what to serve for that result. So the way you can answer that, if you have a Remax site or whatever the case may be, one of the ways around that is to have a profile on LinkedIn that's public, a Facebook page or a public profile. You can make 2 profiles if you want to, get your name out there into every service you can think of. And that way, at least when somebody finds you, they might not find your .com immediately, but they'll find, say, your Twitter bio or something, and then they can click on your website from the Twitter bio. So there's all these kind of avenues. And I'm pretty sure that that's an Alex Wang special right there. Google your name, and if you don't have a presence on the top 10 results, what are you doing? You're missing out.
No, absolutely agree. And Shannon, I think you're right on. I think the reason why people said to do it 5 years is that people will forget to, won't have the auto renew on or something like that. Although if you are registering your domain with GoDaddy, believe me, when it becomes renewal time, they're going to be your best friends. They're going to be calling you every single day, sending you emails and stuff like that. So you probably won't forget, but just in case. So, TJ, did you freeze again? I think so. Good freeze though. Good profile. Good profile freeze.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, you're back.
It's the internet here in rural central Massachusetts. I'm sorry.
That's all right. The tin can and a string, right?
I'm telling you, carrier pigeons didn't work because it got too windy, so we're doing the best we can.
But hey, at least I'm assuming, are you using a Mac?
I am.
So you probably had an adapter you had to get for that to connect in, right? All right. So, and hey, everyone, ask your questions about SEO. Again, just the way that these things work, the best is that if you guys are asking questions about the certain content, so that or certain whatever we're talking about, either SEO or content marketing, so that we can answer those questions. So I'm sure if you have them, other people do. So what do you think about please put him on the directory? So I think you mean Yext. TJ, what do you know about Yext? I get hit up from them all the time. My company does. Shannon and I have talked about Yext before. What do you know about Yext, and is it worth it?
Good question. I also get hit up by them all the time. Yext and Yelp, if their names weren't so similar, they're always hitting us up for the same, pay me money, pay me money. So the service that Yext offers is a valuable one. If you don't know them and you're not familiar with them, number one, the Biedermeinhof principle says you're going to hear about them all the time now. But number two, what they do is they take your name and it's called an NAP in local SEO. It stands for your name, address, and phone. It's basically your local citation information, where you are in the world, how I can be contacted, and they take that information about you and they publish it out to, they might be up over 200 different places now, and that service is. They charge a decent amount of money for it. It's pretty valuable if you can spend a couple bucks a month to keep that up. But the service is valuable. Having your name and your address and your phone number and your contact information out there everywhere and consistent everywhere is really valuable. That's going to help you with local SEO. It's going to help you with local searches of people looking for either for you or for somebody in the area. Google does pay attention to consistency of citations, they call them. Now, as for whether or not you should be paying Yext to do it for you, I say no, but I only say no because I think that Yext has kind of aggressive business practices where they're always hounding you for money, and they're just always they basically threaten you with, if you stop paying us, we're going to pull this information down, and then you're it's kind of like the mob. It's extortion at that point. Please don't sue me. I don't actually mean that. But instead, you could be doing it manually. You can basically pick the top 20, 30, something like that, different places, Yellow Book and all these places. And you can do it yourself. If you ever change your address, your phone number or something, you'll have to go back and manually update it. And that's where something like Yext comes in handy because you only do it once. But there are competitors out there. If you're really serious about this and you want your local SEO and your NAP stuff to be just rock solid, I would recommend there's a company called Moz, which is, I think, a better version of this than Yext. Moz is a huge company. There's a lot in the SEO world. But one of the services they offer is this local citation management stuff, Moz. So if you're going to pay money for somebody to help you manage your local citations, I think that money is better spent going to Moz than Yext. But I also kind of think you could do it yourself if you have the time and patience. So there you go.
Another question I get, and this goes to just more of the personal branding SEO, is having a presence on Yelp. Because I know that so many people hate Yelp, and in fact we just had a conference call with Yelp today about doing some stuff for us, some advertising. Where do you fall on the Yelp? Is it something that you definitely want to do? As far as like being important, like where would you rank having a Yelp profile?
Sure. So Yelp, like so many others, you can do a free one or a paid one. I think you're crazy if you don't have a free one on there. Why not? It doesn't cost you anything. Maybe a few minutes here or there to put your pictures on there and fill out your hours or something. And people can, and in a lot of cases will, review your company. And don't you think you should know what they're saying about you? I see absolutely no reason not to be on Yelp. As for the paid version, advertising on Yelp, I can't really make that decision for you. It kind of depends on your market. I know that in real estate, they're not that high up there in terms of power brokers, for ratings and reviews.
Yeah.
So, your mileage may vary. I don't pay for a Yelp advertising account with my business. I never have. And honestly, I don't think I have ever recommended it to any of my clients. I don't specifically say, no, don't ever do it. But generally, it doesn't rank that highly on important, places you should be spending your advertising dollars. If I'm not a real estate agent, by the way, but if I were, I would be all over Zillow 100 times before I'd be all over Yelp. And I'm talking now about ratings and reviews and that kind of thing. So, that's my answer. Have a free one, yeah, because why not? Why not? It can't hurt, and you also want to be notified when people review your company. So, yeah.
Okay, so now let's switch gears into the content marketing. We already touched a little bit on that. Is obviously, to me, it's important, right? Everyone wants, and because everybody wants content, everyone is consuming content, and that takes many different forms. So as a new realtor, I'm starting off. I want to get into content marketing. I know it's important, but again, just like with SEO, I need a one-on-one. Where do I start? Where should I begin? So that's my question to you. Where do I start?
Sure. So first thing, I guess, is, and I get this question all the time, how are SEO and content marketing different? Are they not the same thing? Are they, what's the deal? So you could think of it kind of as like concentric rings, like a target or a dartboard or something. Content marketing is big picture. It's high level strategy. And within that, the more smaller concentric rings, are smaller pieces that kind of fit into that, right? So SEO is one of the pieces that should be inside your content marketing strategy. The same could probably be said of organic social media marketing. But to your point, you said everyone's consuming content all the time. You're absolutely right about that. And the ways in which they do that vary by person. They vary by time of day, day of week, month of year, whatever. So the content marketing strategy is meant to be kind of all encompassing of all of those different things. And SEO becomes one piece of that. So if I am, and I do this a lot with my clients, I'm advising on content marketing. The first thing I need to know is, who are you trying to reach? We need to know all about those people and what their buying habits are, or their online consumption habits. Where are they hanging out? Are they mostly Facebook users, LinkedIn users, Pinterest users, YouTube users? Each of those, there's a lot of overlap there, but each of those user groups have slightly different behavior patterns. So I want to know all about who those people are and where they're hanging out, where they're spending their time. And now we always know what the phrases are, what the search intent is behind whatever this online activity is. In most cases, it's I either want to buy a house or sell a house. And there's of course like tangential ones that come off of that. But so we know the big picture intent. We know the user group and their kind of online behavior patterns. Now let's produce some content that is going to speak to those users, and where they hang out and how they spend their time is going to dictate the type, the way in which we produce that content and the way in which we market that content and kind of promote it out there. So content marketing is that big picture, high level. This group being Snappack being what it is, there's a lot of video production in this group, right? Shannon's all over that. Dustin's all over that. I know your company's all over that. That's fantastic. I need to see more of the world doing that. But that plays mostly into YouTube, and in a lot of cases, the like Facebook, either live or some of the higher production value type videos on Facebook. But that doesn't necessarily play all that well on, say, LinkedIn or Pinterest. So if you have a user group that doesn't consume a ton of video, all right, well, now what do we do? Well, we have to produce content that's still going to answer their questions and be valuable to them, but we have to do it in a more visual format sort of a way. Infographics, I don't know, whatever else, visual media that for Pinterest, you can think of it as like, recipes and stuff that are really popular, but you can kind of translate that into, like paint colors is a really popular one, for example, that the real estate agent or real estate market goes after. So So content marketing is big picture, and then SEO has to fit inside of that. If you're trying to use Pinterest, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and you're trying to use these channels to drive traffic back to your website, like we talked about, invite everybody back to your house, now you need to use SEO as a strategy to do that. What are they searching for? What are the words and phrases that they're going to be using and searching for in Google? And am I using those phrases back to them? Am I speaking their language when I'm writing my material and publishing it on my website?
Yeah. And I think that's important because I think when content marketing, first thing they think about is blogging. Like, I need the blog and I need to do, put that type of articles and whatnot. And then, the video plays a part. And like you said, that's more of like a YouTube play and not really, kind of, doing, depending on your audience. But I think the important part of what you said that everyone needs to focus on is that you got to do the research on your audience and knowing what they want to consume, what they're searching for, what they're looking for, and how they're even finding them. So it's one thing is when you start doing whatever you're doing on the content marketing play, whether it's video, whether it's blogging, art, whatever it is. And I really don't see this being done a lot on the loan officer side for my loan officers here at a mortgage company, but even a lot of realtors that I know is when they find a client, a lot of them, because I know just because when I've actually went and went and found a realtor when we've looked at investment properties in different states and whatnot, and I didn't have any connections in that certain area, so I didn't know where to go, and I just found it myself, is none of them, zero of them asked me how I found them. And so that is important research. So as you're getting leads, you guys, and I'm sure TJ, you'll back me up on this, you got to know where those sources are coming from, because then if you don't, then how do you know where you want to put any advertising dollars or where you want to put more presence or more resources or more attention if you don't know how these people are finding you? So to me, it's extremely important to understand. You would agree with that, right, TJ?
Oh yeah. Marketing is a job. Everything that you do as an agent or as a loan officer, whatever the case may be, you have certain metrics that you need to hit, and you have, basically everything you might have gone to school for or been trained by your company for, as this is how we do business. And there are business objectives and, business goals and business processes. Marketing is one of those jobs. And, it just happens to be one of those jobs that people basically think of as, it's just kind of something everybody has to do, and it sort of fits into what, the neat little box of whatever I do that's really my job. Well, yeah, that's true. And you can get by, doing decently well at that kind of thing. But there are people that go to school for this. You can get a marketing degree. There's a lot that can go into it. Now, granted, if you're an agent, you're a loan officer, you have a different job, and marketing full-time is not what you should be spending your days doing. I get it. But there are those of us out there that is what we spend our days doing. And so, yes, tracking your referral sources, your lead sources, your traffic sources, conversion rates, tracking all those things is absolutely vital to the best of your ability. Now, I don't want you to throw everything away because that guy on Snappack said you're not doing it right. No, that's not what I'm saying. But as much as you can find out how people are getting you and converting and stuff, then yes, you should be tracking that. Absolutely.
And then Michelle asked, converting video into blog content. To me, of course you want to do that, right?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer for me. So shoot a video. And Michelle, I've seen that you do some great ones down in Florida. Shoot a video, and then basically you can farm out the transcription. I think I spoke to Karen Carr about this earlier this week. I think it was Karen, I forget now. Where if you're shooting a video, there are services out there that you can pay, $20, $30, $50, some, totally reasonable amount of money that will generate a transcript for you, a typed out word for word. Here's what was said in this video that you just spent all your money on. Yeah. And now you've got a text version that can just get published up underneath that blog or underneath the video. So upload the video to YouTube, embed the YouTube video on your blog, publish the text transcription version underneath that. I would hope that you would also spend a day kind of formatting and designing a little bit, improving the format and layout of that transcription, just for better user experience. But even if you don't, at least you now have a text version of that video at minimal extra cost and no extra time to you after you've produced the video.
Yeah, the one site that I've used, and I'm sure you've heard of it, is rev.com, rev.com, and that's where I've get the transcription, and then along with the SRT file for the for
so
YouTube.
I haven't used Rev. I mean, is that expensive? What kind of dollar value is it?
I think it's $1 a minute, I think is what it is. So it's not too bad.
10-minute video, $10, no problem.
Yeah, so it's just keep your video short. You can't be like Dustin with his 6-hour videos about nothing. But you want to make sure that it's relevant content. So Eric asks, is it okay to put the same post on Medium and LinkedIn and your FB page? Maybe use different subject line and graphics.
Good question. So Eric, it depends on how you define is it okay, right? Like I said a minute ago, SEO is only one slice of this pie here. So Is it okay in SEO terms? Well, now we have to go back to the powers that be and ask almighty Google. Does Google think it's okay if you are posting the same thing on your blog and on LinkedIn and on Medium? In SEO, that is referred to as duplicate content. And that phrase, if you say that to an SEO, they'll like run away and hide in the shadows and be like, oh no, duplicate content, it's really scary. But it's not that bad. It's not as bad as everybody thinks it is. So if you are worried about duplicate content, and basically if you're like copy paste verbatim across different websites, that can get you in trouble, and I don't recommend it. But it's still not going to get you as in trouble as most people seem to think.
Nope. This is not as good a freeze as the last one. All right, let's see. Usually he pops back in. So if he comes back. You know, this usually only happens to Chelsea, so I'm a little bit out of my element here. So hopefully he'll get here. Let me send him the link but this is great. TJ, SEO is so important. Sorry, I'm just trying to get him back on here. SEO is so important. Content marketing is so important. And as TJ, and I agree with Shannon, we need to have TJ back again, maybe just to do the host a specific how-to webinar on certain subjects. Because because we're dealing this right now at our company with our landing pages that we're building, is that there's so much SEO that we're putting in to the keywords, the graphics, the alt text on the graphics. Hey, there you go. You're back.
Carrier pigeons.
I had to fill in there. Didn't know what to do.
How much of that did you get?
I didn't get anything. So, so it basically froze right when you were talking about, Dustin's right. You're bringing the heat, man. You were bringing the heat and the computer couldn't handle it. So
too hot. It's too hot for the internet. Can't handle it.
It's too hot. But anyway, what I segued into was more of how important the SEO piece of it is for like the landing pages that I'm doing for the company here, and getting into keywords. And people don't think about the graphics that they're uploading and having that alt text in the graphics themselves. But I actually forget where we were and what we're talking about. But
Eric asked about duplicate content.
Duplicate content.
Yeah, the same material across different websites. So
you said it's not as bad as what people think.
Right. So if duplicate content can be a scary term to a lot of SEO professionals, it's not that bad. So I don't want to get into the weeds on what duplicate content is and can be. It's generally not that big a problem for most people. Yeah. But if the question is, can I publish something on my blog and then just copy and paste verbatim the entire thing to other websites, I don't really recommend that. You should change it up a little bit. The number that we like to throw around, and we can't even say this with any real confidence because Google keeps everything closed. Yeah. But basically, it's 25% duplication is acceptable, and beyond that, it's considered duplicate. But then there's syndicate content, which is different from duplicate. So before I get too deep down the rabbit hole here, essentially, what you should do is this: if you're going to publish something and you want it to go to a couple of different places, publish the best and longest and most high quality version of it on your website. Yep. Do that first. Let Google sink its teeth into it. Let it get into the index. It doesn't even have to generate a ton of traffic, just as long as Google knows that it's there and is giving you the credit for it. Then you can take some percentage of it, maybe the first half or the second half or every other paragraph or something, and kind of excerpt that and tease it out on Medium and then on LinkedIn and then whatever. And in so doing, number one, you're avoiding a straight copy-paste duplication. And then number two, if there is any question about who owns this content, I see two copies of it, one on your site and one on LinkedIn. Your site was first, your site is bigger and better, you get the credit, and then LinkedIn just kind of refers traffic back to you.
Yeah, that's key. I never thought about that or even considered that. I do content somewhere else and then just let it go. I didn't think about putting it on my blog first, letting it marinate, so to speak, there, and then start cooking it everywhere else.
That's right.
Shannon, you asked, is it okay to share your link on all platforms to your site? I guess that's kind of like what we just talked about. Is yes, you can share your link wherever you want.
Yeah, links. Throw your links out there. Throw them everywhere. Put them absolutely everywhere. If there's any examples, it would be stay away from the shady parts of the internet. But otherwise, put your link anywhere. Not all of them are going to help you in SEO terms. I know Dustin is all over backlinks. He's absolutely right to be all over backlinks. Way to go, Dustin. But not all backlinks are created equal. Anything that's on a social media platform, anything that you can publish a page yourself for free without having to own it, that kind of thing, like Medium, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook even, they're going to use what's called a nofollow, which basically tells Google, do not give any credit for this link. This link should still work, but don't give any SEO credit, or I forget what the preferred term for that is now. But in any case, so you should still use those links, because at the end of the day, you can still drive traffic, drive users back to your website, and that's really what you want. Search bots don't buy houses. People do. So drive people back to your website. Yeah, use search bots to do it, but don't get too hung up on what's a do-follow link versus a no-follow link. Just get links where you can.
Gotcha. That's good info. So I brought up alt text. Michelle is asking about, or I think, I don't know how to pronounce her. Is it? I'm going to kill it, and everyone's going to laugh at me, so I'm not going to say it. I'll just call her Michelle. Michelle, you can correct me later. But she's asking what alt.
Sure.
And so go ahead and explain that to people.
All right. So if you put an image on your website, the image is obviously something that you're going to see and look at, and it's beautiful, and that's great. Computers and search bots and search engines and stuff, they don't have eyeballs, so they don't see the image. They see the data contained within the image, and maybe someday they'll be able to parse it out and say, this is a photo of Jason or whatever. But right now, they use alt text or alternative text to basically say, what is this photo? They use a couple other indicators too, like the file name, for example. There's a few others out there, but alt text is, in SEO terms, it is you're telling the search engines what the image is. And so you can put your keywords in there. But its primary job, the reason alt text exists, is actually for screen readers, for people that are blind or vision impaired, or just happen to be listening to audio version of it for any other reason. So consider those users. I went to a conference. I actually spoke at a conference in 2011 or 12, design development, search social, conference. And there was a gentleman there who was blind, and he said, you guys are doing a great job with accessibility where most people don't. And it totally renewed my commitment to accessibility in websites. So that's what alt text is really for. And so highly recommend that you use it for that purpose, but you can put a keyword in there too to help out. Sure.
Yeah, and it's actually ironic that we actually are talking about that, because so we have credit union partners, and I build sites for them. And one thing that we're seeing in the credit union business now is people getting hit with lawsuits when their sites aren't ADA compliant. And so there's a group of lawyers out there that are just looking for low-hanging fruit, because they are winning judgments on this stuff. And it's actually, and TJ, correct me if I'm wrong, because I never really thought about, or at least I haven't thought about it lately. I just assumed kind of what we were doing, making sure the alt text and stuff like that was going to be read by a screen reader. So you want to make sure you got to worry about fonts and stuff like that. So I was just doing that, the basic elements. But as I was reading about it, it actually is a requirement from all businesses to be ADA compliant if you're selling goods or services for people. And I don't think anyone really thinks about that when they're designing their websites.
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, right? I'm not a legal expert. I would have told, if you had not just said that to me, I would have told you that only the government is required to have that, and town, local, state, city, whatever. But I could be wrong. It's possible that if you are offering services to the public, then you are beholden to public judgments in that way. But I'm not an expert. Even if it's not a legal requirement, it's still a good idea. Ask any of these people who happen to have vision impairment or anything else, and they'll say, why wouldn't you make your website accessible for me?
Yep.
Like, oh,
yeah,
man.
and so right now I'm actually working on ADA compliant, basically text-based versions of our site for all of our sites, all of our loan officers and everything else. And I'll actually post the link on the Snappack so you guys can see it, because I was the first I heard it as well, because same with you. I was thinking, okay, that's just a government requirement, but the article.
Maybe the fact that there's like a federal support program for things like credit unions, maybe that plays into it. I don't really know the answer.
Yeah,
but it's just play it safe, man. Play it safe. Go with go with ADA and go with accessibility.
Yeah, exactly. But I think TJ, I think you hit on the most important thing is we need to get into the human part of what we're doing, and that's definitely plays a part. Is you don't want to cut out anything, and in fact, just use it as an opportunity is to do stuff where other people may not be worried about that or care about that. So I think it's always a good thing. So so we've ran pretty long. here. I thought we were only gonna go half an hour, but dude, you brought the heat, man.
Too much.
SEO, and Shannon's 100% correct. And to answer your question, Shannon, you want to, like TJ says, it's really for, e-readers, but Google looks at the alt text as well. Just describe what that picture is. You don't need to get it like super keywordy or anything like that. Is that you want to just describe what the picture is. So that's all you need to care about.
If you can toss in a keyword, great, but the primary use is to be descriptive and helpful. And if keywords can fit into that, fine, but don't overdo it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think definitely there is so much great stuff. In fact, I'm going to ping you later on, either tomorrow or next week, because there are some SEO things that I'm doing that I want to pick your brain about, and then maybe even hire you guys to do some stuff for us.
Great.
We're getting pretty crazy with everything that we're doing. But
well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
But dude, you've been awesome. Thank you so much. I know it's late out there on the East Coast for you.
Yeah, I gotta go
it was late notice coming on, so I want to thank you for taking the time out to join us on the Snappack. You definitely brought some great stuff. For those of you, thank you for catching the replay on this, and I'm going to make sure I bump this and everyone this evening. Please throw more comments in there and bump it so the people that weren't able to join us live catch the replay, because this is important stuff. And I think, and TJ, I know you'll back me up on this, is I think that as we continue to trend up with the, this digital shift that we're going through, this stuff is just going to play even more, and it's important now. I mean, we got it. It's important now, but I think not everyone understands how much of a foundation this can create for you for success in the future. And to start now, don't put it off a month or a week or whatever. Just to start little by little now. Yep. So TJ, I want to give you the final words. Any summary or anything you want people, any mistakes or anything you people want to avoid or whatever,
Yeah.
Take it away.
Sure. So SEO, a lot of people will get caught up in the weeds. Don't get distracted by the next shiny thing. You learned about backlinks. You learned about duplicate content. You learned about whatever. Don't get caught up on the shiny bells and whistles of SEO. Just think big picture, think quality, think helping people, and think be thorough. Be smart about how you're doing it. And as long as you're publishing great stuff and you're getting it in front of the right eyeballs, promoting it yourself, sending it to them, putting it in Facebook groups, putting it wherever, Google will catch on, traffic will catch on, and it'll be a great thing. So I appreciate you having me on, Jason. This has been a lot of fun. I would love to come back and do this again. I love to talk SEO all day, every day. So thanks for the opportunity. And I hope you found it helpful out there, Snappack land.
No, I'm sure they did, man. And like I said, this was awesome. And you'll definitely be on, you'll maybe be on next week. Who knows? Awesome. But hey, thanks for everyone that joined us live. Thanks for those watching the replay. I hope the rest of your Thursday goes awesome. Have a wonderful Friday and a great Labor Day weekend. Enjoy time with your family and friends, and be safe. So have a great time, and thank you for joining us.